Hello, hello, Hidden Hermit here. How's it going? So what is the vibe? What is the vibe? Let's have a what's the vibe video, which is where we have a look at the astrology of the moment. Then we throw in a little bit of chance, and we also apply a little bit of tarot to the situation. That's interesting. That's the card I drew myself this morning. That's great. Anyway, so what is the vibe? Let's start with a quick rundown of the astrology of the moment. Some interesting things going on, which is a little bit of an understatement for 2020. It's probably it's a wild astrological year, to be perfectly fair. But let's well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So today is the 9th of January 2020. Is 8:43 a.m. I've been sitting here twiddling my thumbs, waiting for this moment because the moon has just entered Cancer. That's important because in 35 hours time the moon will go full, and there's a lunar eclipse in certain parts of the world, a partial lunar eclipse. So that's why I waited for this moment to do this. So what else is going on? I mean, yeah, we've got the Saturn-Pluto conjunction at 22 degrees Capricorn. More on that later, much later in another video indeed. The sun is at 18 degrees Capricorn, conjunct with Mercury at 17 degrees, which I'll come back to in a moment. Jupiter is at 8 degrees Capricorn. It's all about Capricorn. There is a Capricorn party going on. But there are a few other interesting things going on. A couple of days ago, Jupiter was meeting the South Node, which is interesting. That doesn't happen often. Well, depending on what year you're in, an average of about 12 years, although it has been sort of bobbing backwards and forwards recently. So what does that mean? I mean, it means we need to let go of things, the things that we because it's in Capricorn, because Jupiter's in Capricorn, things we have to let go of in terms of materialism and a sense of power. It's probably something that you don't want to be letting go of, but just do it. Just let it go. Be like Elsa in Frozen. Let it go. Just let it go. That's enough. Okay, what else is going on? So Neptune at 16 degrees Pisces has been making a lot of really irritating and annoying aspects with all this Capricorn stuff. It's currently sextiling the Sun and Mercury. And what does that mean? You get sort of wafts of daydreams, flights of fancy, and they're quite fleeting. It is only a sextile, but yeah, Neptune doing what Neptune does best, bringing your dreams to the forefront. Lots of daydreaming because it's making an aspect with the sun, so you know things happen in the day. You may be imagining that lottery win, or things of that ilk and nature. Venus is pretty much on her own in Aquarius at the moment, not making any aspects with any other planets, so that's fine. We'll leave her to rock on in Aquarius. Uranus is currently slowing right down. It's going to be going stationary in 2 days' time, and then going direct in about 8 or 9 days' time, on the 17th, 18th of January, depending on where you are. It's making a mild sextile with the moon there. What I find really interesting at the moment is this fire trine between Mars and Chiron. Chiron's at 1 degrees Aries. Mars is at 4 degrees Sagittarius. It is a waning trine now, but they've been doing this for quite some time, at least a good week. More if you take on the whole orb, if you like. And what does that mean? It means it's a good time to, because Chiron's in Aries, it's a good time to perhaps change your appearance. It's trining with Mars, so maybe it's a good time to pull any defective limbs off, remove any rotten teeth, getting a good haircut, maybe a little bit of a makeover, quite a drastic one, says Mars. And yeah, Chiron's also squaring the moon, so these things could be a little bit painful, but a good time to do it, I would say. So that's just a general overview. So next we have a look at chance. What are the fates asking us to look at? And this is the bit where well, we have to talk amongst ourselves a little bit, I suppose. Here we go, nice little mess for you. We've already seen the moon here. Let's hope the moon gives us a message. We've got Saturn, Uranus. It's all over the place already. Pisces. Is there a Neptune up there? Sorry, Pisces. There's two Pisces. There's definitely a message from Pisces today. There's definitely a message from Saturn as well. I might actually, I usually remove the nodes, but I might actually leave them in here today. Mercury, third house. Nothing going on in the third house. And when I say third house, I mean the third house of the moment. So a mundane third house, if you like. Definitely a message from Pluto and Saturn, it would suggest. Sagittarius, Libra. What's going on in Libra? Not a great deal, to be perfectly fair. Whether that's prominent in your birth chart remains to be seen. Aquarius, Mercury. Yeah, definitely a message from Sagittarius. Look at that. That's rather fortuitous. Moon in Cancer. So definitely a nice, solid message from the moon in Cancer. Oh, yes. What else can I talk about? So, yeah, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Everybody's talking about it. It's on everybody's mind at the moment. And for good reason. It's an auspicious, powerful thing that's going on. And like I say, I'm going to be talking more about that in another video, which I intend to post doubtfully tomorrow, perhaps the day after, just before it goes exact, I would suggest. So look, this is what's going on. So we've definitely got a message from Sagittarius, definitely got a message from Libra, which is a bit weird. Moon in Cancer, nothing here. A message from Pisces, a message from Saturn, and a message from Jupiter on the Dragon's Tail, which is fascinating, really. So what are the messages? Where are we going with this? I'm going to have to make a little bit of room. Today I'm using Delphi, my weightsmith. And I'm just going to give her a quick shuffle, just so you know I'm not scripting this. But let's see what's going on. What have we got going on here today? We'll start from the top on the midheaven. Oh my God, look, I've completely... No, I haven't messed up. I mean, the midheaven's in Scorpio at the moment, but Sagittarius is just peeking through. 27 degrees Scorpio, so by the time I finished, at least by the time I post this, the midheaven will be in Sagittarius, and indeed probably moving on. So let's do this, shall we? Okay, first of all, a message from a Sagittarius. I'm going to lean that up there, just so you can't see it. Then we have a message from Libra. Doing nothing with no planets, but that's fine. Depending on where Libra is in your natal chart, it might be important. A message from Moon in Cancer. This is going to be a really important card, I would suggest. A message from Pisces, containing Neptune, but Neptune isn't really the focus. Message from Saturn. I saw an interesting discussion on the Twitter by Chris Brennan from the Astrology Podcast, how Saturn was a feminine planet in the 1st century. And I found that very interesting, because I've always considered Saturn to have a very feminine vibe, much like I do Pluto. So that's interesting. That's something I've been thinking about quite a lot in the last 7 years. but yeah, fascinating. And there is a message from Jupiter and the South Node. They're just a degree apart, but it's close enough. Well, they're within a degree. 36 minutes, 8 degrees for Jupiter, and 48 minutes, 7 degrees for the South Node. So there's quite a lot of messages, I would suggest. Let's get cracking, shall we? So first of all, what is Sagittarius telling us today? It's the Hanged Man. That's fascinating. It's not making an aspect with Neptune. No, not at all. So Sagittarius is very forward thinking, very down with the philosophical. Excuse me, it's quite early, I suppose. Down with the philosophical vibes, but there is something quite ephemeral going on in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is telling us to reach out, and less about the law side of esotericism and more about the spiritual side. Reach out with your feelings, says the Hanged Man in Sagittarius. That's a really powerful placement. And just to go off in a little narcissistic tangent, I personally have Neptune in Sagittarius, so that's fascinating. We should be looking towards our spiritual vibes, says Sagittarius. That's interesting. Libra with no planets. What is Libra trying to tell us? Oh my goodness, it's the star. That's cracking. That's amazing. So I'm looking at Aquarius. Aquarius is containing Venus at the moment. So Libra is that sign of two sides, one of harmony and diplomacy, but also one of polarization. But the star tells us of things like hope. Also a little bit of a cold vibe I'm getting. Is Libra trying to tell us to... and I'm just thinking, Libra, of course, is one of Venus's signs. So that's an interesting correlation, I would have thought. Very interesting correlation. And they're two very powerful cards already. The Hangman and the Star just coming out like that. What does that mean? I might have to come back to that, but that's powerful. Libra's telling us to look towards a kind of a cold hopefulness. It's asking us to take a glance at Aquarius. And, Venus is indeed one of the Libra planets. That's fascinating. Hold hope in our hearts, but I'm sensing this sort of detached coldness that we need to be perhaps latching onto. And of course, this is a 6-card reading, so there's a lot of detail going on in there. This is going to be vital, I feel. So this is the moon in Cancer. The moon has been in Cancer for a few minutes now from where I'm sitting in Bonnie, Scotland, but it's the 7 of Swords. So the moon, it's about to go full in 35 hours time, and indeed it's going to be a lunar eclipse in certain parts of the world. But the 7 of Swords tells us about things that have been potentially taken from us, or things that you are taking from others. Now the moon in Cancer is a very, it's its own house. It's telling us to, I think, I'm getting the feeling that the moon is telling us to be very aware of the things that, and I really get a sense that this is things that you're taking from others. We need to be quite sensitive about them, what people might perceive us to be. I don't know, almost be aware of how selfish you can be in your day-to-day life. Be very wary and aware, I would suggest. Yeah, I'm getting a real sense that the moon's almost saying, look, stop, think about what you're doing. This is important. Because it is an eclipse. So just be mindful of what other people might kind of, they might see you as stealing their thunder, perhaps, or their swords, to be fair. But the moon's saying, look, we need to be a little more sensitive at this time to how other people feel about what we are doing. That feels about right. Interesting. Pisces, containing Neptune, but what's Pisces wanting to tell us at the moment? It's the 10 of Swords. Crikey, so these water signs are being really, really prickly. When you mix water and air, you get bubbles, but I don't think that has any bearing at all in this situation. But yeah, Pisces, again, and Pisces are very sensitive and feeling, really aware of it's an empathic vibe, isn't it? So the 10 of Swords tells us that, things do hurt, things have come to a certain sort of ruin, but indeed the sun is rising there. And I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but we are a Capricorn rising at the moment. The sun is about to come up, if it hasn't already. But yeah, that's a really strange vibe, isn't it? All these swords cards mixing with these water signs. I feel like I'm going to be pondering this reading for most of the day. I'm going to leave the 10 of Swords in the light there so that we don't get too scared. Saturn. What is Saturn trying to tell us? Saturn in Capricorn there. All eyes are on Saturn, and it's probably worth noting that, we're in the hour of Saturn at the moment because Capricorn is rising. But what's Saturn wanting to tell us? It's the 3 of Cups. Well, that's good news, isn't it? So the earth sign's mixing with the water sign. So Saturn, maybe it's telling us that, the astrology weather at the moment is like a hurricane. and in a couple of days it's going to be like a tornado. So maybe we should just chill and relax, and maybe have a little party before all this hits us. Saturn's perhaps given us permission to just let our hair down before the poo hits the fan, proverbially. But thanks, Saturn, appreciate that. Now, right opposite the moon in Cancer, we got Jupiter that is just moving away from the south node, from that dragon cell. So those debts that we owe life, if you like. So, and it's the sun. So that's crazy, isn't it? All these lovely aspects, like Pisces, I consider to be quite lovely. Cancer, I also consider to be quite lovely. Have these prickly vibes going on, and yet Saturn, that is maybe sometimes unfairly, she is, you know, the disciplinarian. And Jupiter in the south node as well is also, you know, things that we need to let go of, things that we need to be aware of. But it's the sun. So the sun, and indeed in Capricorn. So yeah, very, very much a Capricorn vibe going on there. So these life debts, these things that we're going to be letting go of, are they going to allow us to shine through? Are they going to allow us to really expound our own personality, let our inner sun shine through once we do let these things go? And there needs to be a lot of letting go, I think. And I'm going to be mentioning this in the forthcoming Pluto Saturn conjunction video. There's a lot of stuff out there on social media telling us that 2020 is a year of healing. Unfortunately, I profoundly disagree with that. I really do. I think 2020 is more about cleaning the wound before we bandage it up. But yeah, so these things that we need to let go are going to allow us to really sort of grow. Grow feels wrong. Really shine, I would suggest. And of course, it's in the same sign as the sun as well. So that's really profound. There's some rather interesting things going on here. So Sagittarius is telling us to look towards something ephemeral and spiritual. Libra is casting its eye on its ruling planet, Venus in Aquarius. We need to hold on to hope at this time. Absolutely. The moon is telling us to be very sensitive of how others perceive what we might be taking from them. Pisces is feeling particularly hurt at the moment. And it might have something to do with these strange, icky aspects that Neptune is making with everything in Capricorn at some level, at some point at the moment. But yeah, Pisces is feeling, and Pisces needs a little nurturing at the moment. So if there are any Pisces energies going through your chart, just bear it a little mind and give it a little bit of room. Saturn is saying, enjoy yourself today because, well, yeah. And Jupiter and the South Node, we need to let go of something. We need to let go of something of a Capricornian nature. Is there anything, are you clinging on to a little bit of power? Because this is a personal thing. This isn't a mundane world thing. This is about us. What do we need to let go of to allow our personalities and ourselves to shine through? So that's the vibe on this auspicious day, just before a full moon. Wow. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope it made a little bit of sense. If not, then, well, sorry. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.